Support for UW360 is provided by the Labor Archives of Washington. Learn more about researching at the Labor Archives and donating collections at laborarchives.org. For most students attending class at UW's largest lecture hall, it hovers just out of sight. If they were to look up, they would see a piece of history.
In some ways, we have a hidden treasure in plain sight.
This mural is a labor of love that once adorned the Seattle Shipscalers Union building. The artist, Pablo O Higgins.
Pablo O Higgins is a perfect example of transnational identity. He's an Irish-Scots-American who moved to Mexico and became Mexican. He's very well integrated into Mexican art circles, but he traveled back and forth between Mexico and the US, and he worked and exhibited in both countries. Elements from a lot of different international experiences show up in his work.
O Higgins finished The Struggle Against Racial Discrimination in 1945. His striking symbolism is heavily inspired by Mexican mural tradition and speaks to the fight against bigotry and oppression.
There was a certain symmetry in US and Mexican labor and civil rights circles, and so there was a lot of collaboration between activists in those two countries. The mural really is part of Seattle's transnational stories, and I think you can see that in a lot of the imagery of the mural as well. Mexico in the 20s and 30s was a place where a lot of artists gathered from all over the world.
Gigi Peterson is a UW alumna and former UW instructor. She started to follow up on others' research on the mural in the mid-2000s. Delving into the UW's archives, she quickly realized that the mural's history has as much to say as its vivid imagery.
It became a very interesting project and one that I certainly could not have done without those archives. So here you can see the messy process of activism and trying to reconstruct the history, find the proper connections.
The Shipscalers Union lost their building lease in the late 50s, but how exactly the mural came to the UW campus or where it was kept until it was found is a decades-long hole in its story.
We don't know exactly where it was stored, but it was stored rather than displayed. We think about the mural as kind of bridging two important eras of activism. 1945, a union devoted to civil rights activism, and the 1970s when you had a number of activists in the community and on campus who were struggling against racial discrimination in academia.
One of those organizations was MECHA, the Chicano student organization. MECHA had started as a social group with just 30 Mexican-American students, but it quickly grew to be a powerful social and political voice on campus. One of its founding members, Professor Erasmo Gamboa, remembers.
The university administration was very unprepared for the social change that was occurring and political change occurring on campus. Student walkouts, mass demonstrations. The O'Higgins mural, it was kind of a eureka moment that we had something that connected us back to what we were studying in classes. So it was a natural that we would demand that the mural be brought to the University of Washington.
These are the original postcards. I believe important pieces should be brought to the eye of the public, and so I think it would be a tragedy if this was still sitting in a shed rotting away. Archives provide the details of how one goes about restoring a mural, demanding that it be found and that it be restored. Possibilities are endless for research in the collections. I have only scratched the surface, but there's a lot more that others can unearth.
The struggle against racial discrimination was finally restored by O Higgins himself in 1976 and hung high in Kane Hall, waiting for someone to just look up.